Hi guys, I'm Kendall Hoeft. I'm a life coach, and I wanted to start to share some live videos speaking on perfectionism, speaking on overcoming the fear of joy, speaking on how to have a happy, healthy, whole, fierce, and free life. So this video, we're going to talk about how does one become a perfectionist in the first place? Well, a lot of times it comes from our childhood, the messages that we received that are kind of ingrained in our sense of identity. And if you grew up in a home like that, there was maybe this zero defects message where you were told, always do your best. And I want to, while that might sound like a good thing on the surface, I want to break that down for us because someone like me, a high achiever, recovered perfectionist, but workaholic tendencies, I didn't understand what my best was because I felt like I could always do better, right? If I studied for 7 hours, like I could have stayed up all night and studied for 8. Your best is, it's like, when does that end? Like, what's the line there? And so it leads to this sense of striving, compulsion for many of us. And I think it probably depends on your personality. If you're more naturally apt to be at rest or, to allow yourself to really just give what you can or whatever in that moment and be cool with it, that's fine. But for many of us, this kind of best, excellent kind of thinking leads to perfectionism and workaholism. So let me ask you some questions. Do you think everything should be done at an optimal level? Do you think everything can be done at an optimal level? Is that even possible? So when you're walking and you decide to make a turn, do you try to turn on a perfect right angle? Like, where do you draw the line? Is there a line? When you pronounce every word, do you say it with perfect diction? And that was actually something I did do because I was in theater for a number of years, voice work. When you're driving and you come to a red light, do you always stop with a perfectly smooth consistency? So some of this stuff hopefully sounds pretty ridiculous to you, like you wouldn't really live that way. But a lot of us are really living that way in some areas of our life. And it's just as kind of sad or unreasonable that we should have to hold ourselves to these high, unattainable standards. See, perfection is an illusion other than in and through the person of Jesus Christ. We can't do perfectly whatever all the time. Like, that's not realistic. And so if we're doing that, we're setting ourselves up to feel bad about ourselves. If our identity is tied into our performance or our works, then that's gonna make us feel that we're not enough often, or that we've fallen short of some kind of line or some kind of high mountaintop striving. And it's a very sad way to live. Okay, so make a list of some things that are not worth doing at an optimal level. This was a very interesting exercise. If you have a piece of paper, make a list of some things that are not worth doing at an optimal level. I ended up putting driving, turning in the car, cleaning, writing a letter, dishes. But honestly, when I first did this exercise, it was hard for me to list anything that I felt like was okay at an optimal level, because I was always taught, and it was so ingrained, to like do your best and don't make careless mistakes. And so what that tells you about yourself, if you have a difficulty putting things on this list, is that you are likely a perfectionist. You always try to do things perfectly. You're on that striving rat race treadmill. So did you receive this zero defects message, this message that kind of told you, do it in an optimal level, like stop making careless mistakes? and what were the messages, and maybe processing and asking yourself how they affected your emotional development. For me, I would be shamed and lectured for my mistakes. I would be criticized and judged every time I didn't live up to a perfect standard. And so I got as close to perfect as I humanly could, and it was exhausting, and I could never rest. I could never allow myself to just be. And you know, it's hard in our society and in our church culture because perfectionism sometimes is looked at as a virtue, not the emotional problem that it actually is, the compulsive emotional behavior that it actually is. And so when you're getting these messages that, oh, wow, you're just like so good. You're so perfect. You always have your shit together. You're always on time. You're always, I can always count on you. You're always responsible. You're always on top. You start to live up to this burden and this pedestal life. And you're kind of getting a lot of, you know, what positive approval you get. You're kind of getting from being a hard worker, being a little perfectionist, and this was praised from a young age, and it's ingrained in you. And so it makes sense how you became a perfectionist. Now, your story is going to be different in a way than mine, but it's going to be very much the same as well, and that you're gonna, if you relate to this material, then I'm sure there were ways that you felt you were never enough. You might have gotten all A's and you were criticized for the one B. Not celebrated for all the A's, and heck, celebrate that B as well. B is amazing. And so maybe that taught you that you could never sit back and celebrate your successes or your accomplishments, but you always had to be striving for that very next thing that was always on the horizon, and it's truly not attainable. So these are some of the ways that from a young age we can tend to become perfectionist. And I'm going to continue to make videos in this series talking eventually about overcoming perfectionism so that you can move forward in freedom, peace, and joy. I'm Kendall Hoeft. Thank you so much for watching. If you're on YouTube right now, I invite you to subscribe to my channel. And of course, you can like and share the video out if you so desire. Thank you so much. Bye.